All right. We're good. We're good to go. So, this is episode 1 of why we have chosen to leave our home in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Right.
So we're going to take these topics one at a time, and we're going to talk about politics first.
All of it's politics.
It's
really.
all-
it's all
it's all
politics.
politics.
There's no.
But
you can't get away from it, really.
let's talk
It's just-
about democracy as politics. I spent 24 years in the Air Force, 2 decades overseas, defending the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And during that time, I spent a lot of time imagining what a domestic enemy of the U.S. Constitution would look like, and it looks exactly like Donald Trump.
I want to say something here. I recently read Empire of Illusion by Chris Hedges, and I think it was in chapter 7 or chapter 9. He literally, point by point, outlines how he saw at that time the U.S. succumbing to a right-wing demagogue. And then I looked up when he wrote that, and it was like 2009. I don't know. I'll have to check. I'll check and put facts in the description. But I was completely blown away, and I was so blown away. I was like, I should read this chapter out loud on camera. But yes, anyway, I did not anticipate. I never could have. I didn't anticipate. Did you anticipate this development?
I have been warning that Trump was a fascist demagogue who wanted to be a dictator as early as the spring of 2019 in speeches on the campaign trail. Because my study of democracy, American democracy especially, convinced me decades ago that a wrong-minded president with a cooperative Department of Justice and a cooperative Department of Defense could overthrow U.S. democracy and establish a dictatorship. And Trump has not like a fiendish fascist plan to become a dictator. He's just a dictator.
He's blundered into it from weaknesses.
He's
blundered into it.
He's a dictatorial, narcissistic
like
personality
in a toenail
who would do all of the things necessary to establish a dictatorship without a plan. And he's surrounded by people like Stephen Miller and others who will support him in that. And so the democracy that I've been supporting for 44 years is not available to us today. We're having some minor court victories, but in general, the Supreme Court and the DOJ and the DOD and the Trump administration is a fascist dictatorship, and they are in charge, and there's no stopping them if they don't want to be stopped. Trump this morning put out a Truth Social post saying that the airwaves above Venezuela and around Venezuela should be considered off limits. Nobody knows what he has planned. It's a Truth Social post. Nobody knows if it's meaningful or not, or if it's just him having another delusional moment. But what we do know is that he has no constitutional authority to wage war on Venezuela, just like he had no constitutional authority to drop bombs on boats off the waters there. These are crimes, both international crimes and domestic crimes, and no one, the DOJ and DOD, no one at the DOD and DOJ are holding him accountable for this. No one is stopping him like they did during the first administration. And so now we are stuck with an unstoppable, narcissistic, senile, fascist dictator.
Or the consequences should another power in the world decide we need to go. We need to take defensive action because, as we discussed earlier today over breakfast, other military leaders and intelligence services the world over have access to this man's diarrhea log, like on Truth Social, his verbal diarrhea log, and they have to make a call. Should we take this seriously or shouldn't we? And it's an absolute disgrace and embarrassment that everything that's used to be properly channeled through the DOD and the DOJ and under control is now, I mean, the world over. Like, what would you do? We don't know. So as Americans, people can call me an alarmist, and they often do. People tell me I'm people have told me my whole life long that I overreact, I'm hypersensitive to threat, blah, 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 blah. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, do you feel safe in America knowing that this man is doing the, I mean, if he's going to threaten to bomb Venezuela, and furthermore, we live in an era where we're not necessarily going to get attacked like we were on 9/11. There's not going to be bombs and planes and people hijacking. It's going to be infrastructure. It's going to be sabotage. It's going to be cybersecurity threats. It's going to be total chaos, and then we will not know for months on end ultimately who the actors are. That's the world we live in. And the fact that we have a president who's a senile just bag of the worst kind of, he's like a colostomy bag for our entire American history. He's everything that we have, the racism, the sexism, the predatory behavior, the corruption. I mean, he bankrupted casinos, and then he became a B-list celebrity on TV. I can't think of a more, just the id of our country. He's just the absolute id of our country. I can't think of a more horrific thing to have to witness again. And I'm tired of witnessing it. I witnessed it the first term, and I'm tired of witnessing it. And so yes, and then let's talk about what he said about.
I want to continue on this
democracy
point.
We want to get back to, but I want to make some points about what I'm seeing with the white flight narratives and Europeans.
Oh, okay, but we're taking one point at a time. Right?
Okay, what's the next point that we're taking?
No, I mean 1 point per video. I hope, because we still got I'll have a lot more to say about democracy.
Right.
So again, I've spent 44 years defending the U.S. democracy, and the realization that we've had early this year is that I have failed. I did not defend U.S. democracy.
Well, it wasn't up to you
against
entirely.
all enemies, foreign and domestic. And so the democracy being gone, the fascist dictatorship being here, I'm not going to live in Pennsylvania or anywhere in the U.S. under a fascist dictatorship. I'm going to leave that for the people who refuse to join me or who criticize me for trying to defend the Constitution, thinking I was too strident in my opposition to Trump or too strident in my criticism of Democrats who were not fighting against this threat, too strident in my attacks on Joe Biden, who spent 4 years in office with all the power in the world to stop this from happening and doing nothing to stop Trump, nothing at all to stop Trump. So here we are in the fascist dictatorship that I'm not going to live in. So we're setting sail for Albania, which has a new and vibrant democracy. And when it comes down to it, the thing I loved about our country the most was its system of government, was American democracy. That being gone, I'm not staying here for the trees and the streams and the people who brought this on.
Well, similarly, I'm going to talk about what happened in 2019 with being investigated.
That belongs in a video all by itself, I think.
Well, no, I think I can address it just briefly here now. I was watching coverage of Russiagate, and I was thinking to myself, man, I used to be an investigative journalist. What if in my spare time I start really actually paying attention to the news again instead of just numbing out? And I developed a theory that Melania Trump was actually a Russian operative at the center of all of this. And then I contacted the CIA and was like, what are you going to do about this? Please do your fucking job. Like, please how can the president of the United States be an asset of a foreign power? How in the hell did that happen? And they contacted the Secret Service, and the Secret Service came to pay me a visit, particularly after I purchased an assault rifle online. And then the FBI and then the ATF came, and they did what's called a threat assessment investigation, and ultimately I was cleared. But I am not going to sit in my home, the home that I've loved for 7 or 8 years. I've never, ever, ever in my life ever loved anywhere more than I have loved living in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, but I won't sit there and allow myself to become a target again and have them revisit my file and make a different judgment call. Because now that the second administration has rolled out, we don't even know. You know, so I'm not a terrorist. I'm a journalist. I want to know the truth. And I'm a patriot just like Alan is. And we both feel that we've done everything that we can. And we are unable at this juncture to maximally defend the Constitution on American soil, I would say. We would be better poised to do so from another country. Would you say that that's
Sure.
correct? Okay.
Is that enough for this one?
That's enough for this one.